Are we hypocrites or righteous? Do we publicly acknowledge Jesus? Are we more concerned with being rich in material things than rich toward God? Let's look at Luke 12. What was the leaven of the Pharisees? Will all hypocrisy eventually be exposed? At this time, after so many thousands of the crowd had gathered together that they were trampling on one another, he began saying to his disciples, "First, be on guard for the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. But there's nothing covered up that'll not be revealed, and hidden that'll not be known. Accordingly, whatever you've said in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you've whispered in the inner rooms will be proclaimed upon the housetops." What's the absolute worst that enemies of Christians can do to us? Whom should we fear? Are we valuable to God? Now I say to you, my friends, don't be afraid of those who kill the body, and after that have nothing more that they can do. But I'll warn you whom to fear. Fear the one who, after he's killed someone, has the power to throw that person into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. Are 5 sparrows not sold for 2 assaria? And yet not one of them has gone unnoticed in the sight of God. But even the hairs of your head are all counted. Don't fear. You're more valuable than a great number of sparrows. Do we acknowledge Jesus in public? What's the one unforgivable sin? How does the Holy Spirit help us in public defense of our faith? I tell you, whoever publicly acknowledges me before others, the Son of Man will also acknowledge before the angels of God. But whoever disowns me before others will be disowned before the angels of God. And everyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven. But anyone who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven. When you're brought before synagogues, rulers, and authorities, don't worry about how you'll defend yourselves or what you'll say, for the Holy Spirit will teach you at that time what you should say. How should we handle being cheated in an inheritance? Then one from the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who made me a judge or an arbitrator over you?" He said to them, "Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses." Are we accumulating wealth, or are we rich toward God? Then he told them a story. A rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. He said to himself, "What should I do? I don't have room for all my crops." Then he said, "I know. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll have room enough to store all my wheat and other goods. And I'll sit back and say to myself, 'My friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, you'll die this very night. Then who'll get everything you worked for?' Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God, or not be rich toward God." How should we handle worries over food and clothing? He said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, don't be anxious for your life, what you'll eat, nor yet for your body, what you'll wear. Life's more than food, and the body's more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They don't sow, they don't reap, they have no warehouse or barn, and God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than birds? Which of you, by being anxious, can add a cubit to his height? If then you aren't able to do even the least things, why are you anxious about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They don't toil, neither do they spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if this is how God clothes the grass in the field, which today exists and tomorrow's cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? What should we pursue? What should a rich man do with all his billions, his 1,000 square miles of farmland, and dozens of castles? Don't chase after what you'll eat and what you'll drink. Stop worrying. All the nations of the world long for these things. Your Father knows that you need them. Instead, desire his kingdom, and all these things will be given to you as well. Don't be afraid, little flock, because your Father delights in giving you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to those in need. Make for yourselves wallets that don't wear out, a treasure in heaven that never runs out. No thief comes near there, and no moth destroys. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be too. What's the greatest lesson from studying prophecies? Be ready and keep your lamps burning, just like those servants who wait up for their master to return from a wedding feast. As soon as he comes and knocks, they open the door for him. Servants are fortunate if their master finds them awake and ready when he comes. I promise you he'll get ready and let his servants sit down so he can serve them. Those servants are really fortunate if their master finds them ready. Even though he comes late at night or early in the morning, you would surely not let a thief break into your home if you knew when the thief was coming. So always be ready. You don't know when the Son of Man will come. Will we be found doing the Lord's will when he comes? Peter said, Lord, are you telling this parable for us or for all? And the Lord said, Who then is the faithful and wise manager, whom his master will set over his household, to give them their portion of food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant, whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you, he'll set him over all his possessions. But if that servant says to himself, My master's delayed in coming, and begins to beat the male and female servants, and to eat and drink and get drunk, the master of that servant will come on a day when he doesn't expect him, and at an hour he doesn't know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. And that servant who knew his master's will, but did not get ready or act according to his will receive a severe beating. But the one who didn't know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him they trusted much, they'll demand the more. What's to be expected when we follow Jesus in this world? I came to bring fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already set ablaze. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how it consumes me until it's finished. Do you think that I came here to give peace on the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. From now on, 5 in one household will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. They'll be divided, father against son, son against father, mother against daughter, daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. How do we interpret the times in which we live? Then Jesus told the crowds, When you see a cloud coming in from the west, you immediately say, There's going to be a storm. And that's what happens. When you see a south wind blowing, you say it's going to be hot, and so it is. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky, yet you don't know how to interpret the present time. How do we wisely handle controversies with others? Yea, and why even of yourselves you judge not what's right? When you go with your adversary to the magistrate, as you're in the way, give diligence that you may be delivered from him, lest he hale you to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the officer, and the officer cast you into prison. I tell you, you shall not depart from there till you've paid the very last mite. Are we hypocrites or righteous? Do we publicly acknowledge Jesus? Are we more concerned with being rich in material things than rich toward God? You decide.